Hi, I'm Professor David Bowman, an ARC Laureate Fellow and the Director of the Fire Centre, the University of Tasmania, and I'm also part of the HEAL network.
And your reflections from today?
I thought today was really an interesting an event because for me, we were taking a chance. I don't know a lot about the social supports available for climate scientists, and I suggested that we have this meeting more really as a trial balloon, and I was just blown away by the fact that there's whole literatures, there's books, there's courses, there's facilitators. This is their line of work. Now that's incredibly interesting, but it's also somewhat frightening because the astronomical stress that I'm under is obviously fairly common currency in anybody who's working in climate change related fields. You know, like without a word of a lie, I have nightmares about forest disasters, forest fire disasters. You know, that's what I spend my life thinking about. I have ways of sustaining myself, but I was really interested to know what strategies are available. And one of the things that is really important to me to sustain myself is to be outdoors, outside, connecting with nature. And I was put on the spot recently saying, well, what would you recommend people to do with understanding, you know, their climate change and dealing with the challenges of climate change? And that, you know, I was in a media interview, and what I said, I think, was on the money because it was reflected in this meeting, and that is that a really simple thing you can do, anybody can do, is just to go and to find a place, whether it's a little part of a beach, whether it's a park, whether it's a garden, whether it's a bushland reserve, a national park, a farm, just a place that you go to and repeatedly go to, because then you will pick up not only the seasonal rhythms and the changes in the landscape, but you will also see the stresses in the landscape, and then hopefully you will have some sense of solidarity with that place, and then you will start thinking about what you can do to manage that place and to help that place. And the weird elliptical nature of that statement is that by doing those things, you're actually helping yourself, because you're actually empowering yourself to understand climate change. You're understanding that there are these incredible forces that are being unleashed now, but there are also lots of things we can do to adapt and to mitigate the impacts of those changes. And, you know, right down to sort of like putting out water for wildlife, or thinking about pollinators, or thinking about not mowing things, or mowing things, or burning things, or not burning things, but thinking about doing something, because that coupling of humans being coupled back into nature and having stewardship and care and responsibility for nature is going to be, if we have a sustainable future, stewardship is going to be a key mission. Restoration is going to be a key mission. Having communities and individuals who care for country, to use Aboriginal English, that we will have that responsibility. And one of the really nice things about caring for country is that you're imprinting your story, and maybe in the end your ashes will go into these places, because these places, just like those funny little chairs in parks, we've got to go to the next level where it's actually patches of bush, which, so, you know, that bloke, he cared for that country, and then that country will have embodied in it these imprints, and maybe you could say even the spirits of people. And then that's the way we're going to adapt, because we'll really want to look after country. And if we could do that at scale, we're going to be okay. If we don't, and we continue on the trajectory we're in, well, obviously we're going to see a lot more psychosocial stress, and eventually, you know, the centre won't hold. So I think the transformations are coming, and it's just a matter of being aware of that and trying to do the work of adaptation. And that's what I think we talked a lot about today, and it was really one of the really nice words was authorising, is, you know, to have the authority to own these feelings and these responsibilities. I think that is really surprising for me. I wasn't expecting a lot of this conversation. I was expecting it to be a lot more rudimentary, but it's actually quite a sophisticated conversation. So yeah, it's been a really interesting day.
When you say you're under astronomical stress, is that because you understand the trajectory we're on, or is it because of our responses to what's happening, or lack of responses, or is it multiple factors?
Oh, it's multiple, because there's there's so many institutional contradictions and so many mixed messages and so many unrealistic expectations, such urgency to do so many things, but there's so much ignorance. You're not certain whether the things you're going to do are the right things, and there's just simply not enough, hours in the day to do all of the work you've got to do to educate, to demonstrate the solutions, to motivate people to take up the solutions, to inform government, to advocate for policy transformation, to get private sector incentives to do the right thing. I mean, the list is literally mind-blowing, and that's just in my domain of fire. There's so much work to do. I always say it's like being in a James Bond movie and the fuse is burning down. Like we've taken this right up to the edge, and soon we're going to be increasingly exposed to really terrifying natural perils, and they have huge psychological impacts. And so we're in this really, if you know all of these things, of course and you're trying to fund it, and you're trying to train people and sustain people, it's unbelievably, if you think about it, it can be overwhelming. What you've got to do is just be focused and be really outcome orientated and be really positive and look after yourself. And if you can do that, it's actually achievable. But if you lose focus and you don't look after yourself, then the whole thing can just be overwhelming, for sure.
Do you mind if I ask a personal question, what your age is? Because we just discussed retirement.
I'm 66 and I have no intention of retiring, because I don't think I could rest. I'm too, there's too much to do. And I figure that, maybe retiring is for me is when I'm in decline. I can't do the work I've got to do. But at the moment, I've just got to do this work and really try to make a difference. But obviously, you've got to look after yourself. You've got to pace yourself too. That's right, yeah.
And today has been a very restorative day.
Oh, it's been absolutely spectacularly amazing. It's been incredible, actually. I think it's been a fascinating, and I really hope there's some good ripple effects, and I hope other people, adapt what we're doing, and, you get a bit of a ripple effect from this. That's what we need, a ripple effect.